In a world that often measures worth by the gleam of gold watches, the square footage of homes, the roar of engines in driveways, and the followers tallied on glowing screens, there exists a quieter, more enduring truth that cuts through the noise like a gentle whisper in a storm. True class is kindness, not riches. This is not a mere slogan or fleeting motivational phrase. It is a profound life lesson that reshapes how we see ourselves, how we treat others, and ultimately, how we define a life well lived. It challenges the very foundations of what society has long celebrated as success, and invites us to look deeper, at the heart, at the quiet choices made when no one is watching, at the moments when compassion overrides convenience. Consider for a moment the people we instinctively admire most. Rarely are they the ones flashing wealth in ostentatious displays. Instead, our hearts are drawn to those who pause in their busy day to help a stranger, who listen without judgment, who offer a hand or a word that restores dignity to someone who has lost it. These individuals carry an invisible aura, not of material opulence, but of genuine humanity. Their class is not inherited or purchased. It is cultivated through deliberate acts of empathy, patience, and selflessness. Riches can buy admiration from afar, but only kindness earns love that lingers long after the bank accounts are empty. The illusion begins early. From childhood, we are bombarded with messages that equate value with accumulation. Advertisements promise happiness in the next purchase. Social media showcases curated lives of luxury, and even well-meaning elders urge us toward security, defined by financial stability. Yet, beneath this glittering surface lies a subtle emptiness. Wealth without warmth breeds isolation. Status without empathy fosters arrogance. History is filled with examples of the ultra-rich, who died surrounded by possessions, but starved of meaningful connection. Their obituaries list fortunes amassed, companies built, properties owned, but rarely do they speak of hearts touched, lives uplifted, or souls comforted. Contrast this with the stories that truly move us, the ones passed down not in financial ledgers, but in whispered memories and tearful recollections. There is the tale of the elderly man who, despite living in a modest apartment, spent his evenings visiting nursing homes, not to donate large sums, but to sit, hold hands, and listen to forgotten stories. He had little money, yet his presence was priceless. Residents would light up at his arrival, calling him by name as if he were family. When he passed, the facility held a quiet memorial attended by dozens who had no blood relation but felt a profound bond. His class was not in what he owned, but in what he gave freely: time, attention, presence. Or reflect on the young woman working 2 jobs to support her family, who nonetheless stops on her way home to buy a meal for the homeless person she sees every evening at the same corner. She cannot afford extravagance, yet she shares what she has. One cold winter night, that simple act sparked a conversation that led to the man finding shelter and eventually employment. Years later, he tracked her down to thank her, tears in his eyes, saying her kindness had restored his faith in humanity when he had none left. She did not seek recognition. She simply saw another human being in pain and responded. That is true class, unpretentious, uncalculated, unstoppable. Kindness, unlike riches, has no expiration date. Money can be lost in a market crash, stolen, or squandered. Fortunes rise and fall with economies, trends, and misfortune. But an act of kindness ripples outward indefinitely, touching lives in ways the giver may never witness. A teacher who encourages a struggling student with genuine belief might plant the seed that grows into a confident adult who, in turn, mentors others. A neighbor who checks on an isolated elder during a heatwave might prevent a tragedy and create a lifelong friendship. These chains of compassion extend far beyond any material legacy. Emotionally, the pursuit of riches alone often leaves a hollow ache. We chase promotions, bigger houses, luxury vacations, convinced they will fill the void. Yet time and again, people at the pinnacle of wealth confess to loneliness, anxiety, or a nagging sense that something essential is missing. The heart craves connection, not just consumption. Kindness satisfies that deepest hunger. When we extend it, we experience a warmth that no luxury can replicate, a quiet joy that settles in the soul like sunlight after rain. Studies and personal testimonies alike affirm that generous acts release endorphins, reduce stress, and foster a sense of purpose far more reliably than material gains. True class reveals itself most starkly in adversity. When life strips away pretense, illness, loss, failure, the facade of wealth crumbles, exposing what truly endures. In hospitals, the billionaire and the janitor lie in similar beds, vulnerable and afraid. What matters then is not the balance in their accounts, but the hands that hold theirs, the voices that offer comfort, the eyes that reflect understanding rather than pity. Kindness becomes the great equalizer, the one currency that retains value when all others fail. Think of the countless anonymous heroes who embody this truth daily. The bus driver who waits an extra moment for a slow-moving passenger, the cashier who offers a smile to someone clearly having a bad day, the friend who listens without interrupting or advising, simply being present. These micro-moments accumulate into something monumental, a life marked not by what was acquired, but by what was offered. Conversely, wealth wielded without kindness can become a barrier, a wall that separates rather than connects. Arrogance born of riches alienates. Entitlement erodes relationships. History's cautionary tales abound. Tycoons who ruled empires but lost families, celebrities whose glamour masked inner turmoil, leaders whose power came at the cost of compassion. Their stories remind us that riches amplify character. They do not create it. A kind person with little becomes noble. A cruel person with much becomes pitiable. To live by the principle that true class is kindness requires courage. It means choosing empathy over expediency, forgiveness over grudges, generosity over hoarding. It asks us to see beyond appearances, to recognize the humanity in the rude waiter, the exhausted parent snapping at their child in public, the stranger who seems cold. Kindness does not condone harm. It humanizes the flawed. It says, "I see your pain, and I choose gentleness anyway." In moments of reflection, perhaps late at night when the world quiets, many of us feel the pull toward this deeper truth. We recall times when someone's kindness saved us, a word of encouragement during despair, a meal shared during hardship, an embrace when words failed. Those memories sustain us more than any trophy or title. They remind us that we are wired for connection, that our souls thrive on giving and receiving love in its simplest forms. Embracing this mindset transforms daily life. Mornings begin with intention. How can I be kind today? Perhaps it is complimenting a colleague genuinely, helping a neighbor with groceries, or simply smiling at someone who looks weary. These acts cost nothing yet enrich immeasurably. Over time, they weave a tapestry of meaning that no fortune can buy. Children learn this lesson best through example. When parents prioritize kindness, sharing toys without fanfare, speaking respectfully even in disagreement, volunteering time rather than just money, they instill values that outlast inheritance. A child who witnesses true class in action grows up understanding that character is the real legacy, that a life of compassion leaves echoes long after material things fade. In relationships, kindness is the glue that endures. Marriages thrive not on grand gestures funded by wealth, but on daily tenderness, listening attentively, forgiving readily, supporting dreams without jealousy. Friendships deepen through reliability and empathy, not extravagant gifts. Families bond over shared vulnerability and care, not displays of status. Even in professional spheres, kindness distinguishes the truly exceptional. Leaders who uplift teams, acknowledge efforts, and show humility inspire loyalty that money cannot purchase. Employees who treat colleagues with respect build networks of trust that propel careers farther than ruthless ambition ever could. The emotional weight of this truth settles heavily yet beautifully. It evokes gratitude for those who have shown us kindness when we least deserved it, sorrow for times we withheld it, hope for opportunities still ahead. It stirs a quiet resolve to be better, to choose the harder but holier path of compassion. Ultimately, when our days draw to a close, what will matter? Not the zeros in accounts or the accolades collected, but the lives we touched gently, the hearts we mended, the moments we made lighter. True class is kindness, not riches, because kindness alone has the power to heal, to connect, to transcend. It is the one thing we can give without diminishing ourselves, and the one thing that returns multiplied in ways wealth never can. In choosing kindness, we claim a nobility no crown can confer, a richness no vault can contain. We become architects of a better world, one small, sincere act at a time. And in that quiet revolution of the heart, we discover the truest form of living, not in having much, but in loving much. True class is kindness, not riches. #life lessons, #mindset, #wisdom, #motivation. In a noisy, status-obsessed world, where success is frequently tallied in bank balances, luxury labels, square footage, and social media metrics, a timeless truth still whispers louder than all the clamor. True class is kindness, not riches. We learn the opposite early. From billboards to reels, childhood onward we absorb the equation, more equals better. More money means more security, more admiration, more freedom. Yet the moment we pause long enough to feel, we notice the cracks. The private jet owner who eats alone. The mansion whose echoing halls hold no laughter. The influencer smiling for the camera while scrolling through hate comments and tears at 3 a.m. Wealth, without warmth, is a beautiful cage. Contrast those images with the moments that actually move us to tears or inspire us to become better. The stranger who stops in pouring rain to help push a stalled car. The colleague who quietly covers a shift so a new parent can attend a school play. The grandmother on a fixed pension who still sets an extra plate for the neighborhood kid whose parents work late. These people rarely appear in Forbes lists, yet their presence lingers like perfume in a room long after they've left. Kindness costs little and returns endlessly. A genuine, "How are you really?" asked at the right moment can steady someone teetering on despair. A held door, a patient ear, an undeserved second chance. These microacts compound into something exponential. Science backs what the heart already knows. Performing or receiving kindness triggers oxytocin and serotonin, lowers cortisol, strengthens immune response, and even lengthens life expectancy in longitudinal studies. Riches can buy doctors. Kindness frequently makes the medicine unnecessary. We all carry invisible wounds. The sharp-tongued boss may be grieving a child. The impatient driver may have just received a terminal diagnosis. The withdrawn coworker may be battling silent depression. Kindness refuses to weaponize those unknowns. Instead, it assumes shared humanity. It chooses grace over judgment, patience over retaliation. That choice is rarely easy. It demands we swallow pride, silence the ego's demand for fairness, and act from a deeper place. Yet every time we do, we reinforce the muscle of character. Children absorb this lesson through osmosis far more than lectures. When a parent pauses a work email to really listen, when they speak politely to the overworked cashier, when they share without keeping score, the child learns that dignity is not transactional. Those lessons outlive any trust fund. A child raised on kindness inherits an inner compass that no market crash can destroy. In love, kindness is oxygen. Grand proposals and diamond rings make beautiful beginnings, but daily gentleness sustains the story. Listening without formulating a rebuttal. Apologizing cleanly without, "But?" celebrating a partner's small wins as if they were your own, forgiving before resentment hardens. These unglamorous habits build a marriage that feels like home rather than a performance. The same principle holds for friendship, mentorship, parenting, any bond worth keeping. Professionally, kindness is a hidden superpower. The manager who credits the team, the senior who mentors without condescension, the coworker who shares credit instead of hoarding it, these people create loyalty that money cannot buy. Toxic brilliance may win short-term promotions. Consistent decency builds organizations that endure. In high-pressure environments, startups, hospitals, newsrooms, kind words spoken under stress become legendary. People remember how you made them feel far longer than what you achieved. Kindness is not passivity. It can be fierce, calling out injustice while preserving the other's dignity, setting firm boundaries without cruelty, protecting the vulnerable without malice. It simply refuses to let hardness of heart become the default response. At day's end, when the noise fades, and we lie in the dark reviewing our hours, the metrics that matter shift dramatically. Did I ease someone's burden today? Did I speak life instead of criticism? Did I choose connection over convenience? Those questions carry more weight than any portfolio statement. True class leaves no invoice. It asks nothing in return yet receives everything worthwhile. Peace that passes understanding, relationships that weather storms, a name spoken with warmth long after we're gone. Riches can open doors. Only kindness makes people want to keep them open for us. So here, in the ordinary minutes of an ordinary life in Islamabad or anywhere else on earth in 2026, the invitation remains simple and radical. Choose kindness anyway. In traffic. In arguments. In disappointment. In success. Especially when it's inconvenient. Because that single, stubborn choice, to be gentle when we could be indifferent, to be present when we could be distracted, quietly carves the only legacy that time cannot erase. In the end, we do not remember the richest person we knew. We remember the kindest. And if we are lucky and brave, our own name will be spoken that way too, one small, sincere act at a time.